Why didn't XRP skyrocket after the SEC dropped its appeal against Ripple? When Judge Torres ruled XRP was not a security, we saw an explosive rally, leaving many to believe history would repeat itself with this latest decision. But this time, things played out differently. In this video, I'll break down why XRP didn't take off and what could spark its next big move. Tired of fake gurus who claim to be expert traders but never trade live? I trade live on the second largest crypto exchange, where everything is transparent and results can't be faked. For over 440 days, I've consistently closed every month in profit. In the last 90 days alone, my followers have earned over $34,000 in profits, with only 4% drawdown. Verified results, not empty claims. Want to see my verified stats? Click the first link in my profile and start copying my trades for free today. There's a fascinating story here about what truly drives XRP's price, and this is a perfect example of how two seemingly similar events can produce wildly different outcomes. Stick around. There's one critical factor that separates the parabolic surge we saw before from the modest pump we got this time. Let's dive in. Let's kick off this video by addressing a question that's been buzzing around. Why didn't XRP skyrocket when the SEC dropped their appeal against Ripple? A lot of people expected fireworks, but instead, things stayed pretty calm. Here's why. About a year ago, give or take, Judge Torres ruled that XRP itself wasn't a security. The market went absolutely wild. XRP wasn't just climbing, it was rocketing. We're talking a 350% surge in just minutes. It was the kind of moment that left jaws on the floor. But here's the catch. That initial euphoria didn't last. Reality set in as people realized the case wasn't over. The SEC was gearing up to appeal, and the road ahead was still bumpy. The hype fizzled out, leaving the market in wait-and-see mode. And that's why, this time around, the reaction wasn't quite as explosive. We've had quite the roller coaster with XRP, haven't we? First, we slid into what felt like a never-ending bear market. Then, out of nowhere, XRP skyrocketed in a massive pump. Surprisingly, this had nothing to do with the ongoing Ripple versus SEC drama. It caught everyone off guard. Fast forward to the SEC dropping their appeal, and you'd think the market would explode, right? Well, not quite. XRP did see a modest 10 to 15% pump, with a bright green candle lighting up the charts. But let's be honest, it didn't hold a candle, pun intended, to the surge we saw when XRP was declared not a security. So why the difference in reaction? That's the big question, and it's what we're diving into today. Stick around, because the first reason we'll discuss is the key takeaway everyone needs to hear. This isn't just about XRP. Sure, we'll dive into things later that specifically focus on XRP, but this first point is something everyone needs to grasp. Remember that summer when the market exploded after Judge Torres ruled XRP wasn't a security? The sheer surge in buy volume caught everyone off guard. No one expected it. Why? Because no one believed Judge Torres would make such a bold move. Let's face it. Her decision was a curveball. The SEC wasn't even arguing whether XRP itself was a security. Their case centered on how Ripple sold XRP, claiming it was the sales, not the asset, that made it a security. Yet, Judge Torres went beyond expectations, and that moment sent shockwaves through the market. They really stirred the pot on this one, twisting arguments left and right and creating a whirlwind of confusion in the market. But then John Deaton stepped in, putting the question front and center. Is XRP inherently a security? Judge Torres could have taken the easy route, brushed it aside, and focused solely on the main case. Many expected her to do just that. After all, the SEC had already softened its stance on XRP itself being a security, so why would Judge Torres dive into such a complex high-stakes issue? But when the ruling came down, it was a bombshell. XRP was declared not a security. The market was stunned. No one saw it coming. In an instant, the landscape shifted and a new chapter for crypto in the US was written. Unexpected, game-changing, and undeniably bold. The latest SEC appeal drop wasn't exactly a shocker. Everyone saw it coming. The SEC had already signaled its intent to wrap up its cryptocurrency cases, and we knew Ripple had been in discussions with the Trump administration. Ripple themselves hinted that the end was near, so the writing was on the wall. When the SEC finally dropped the appeal, it lacked the drama or surprise of previous moves. It felt like business as usual, following the same predictable pattern we've seen before. There was no unexpected twist, nothing groundbreaking about how it unfolded, and because of that, the market barely flinched this time around. It was just another chapter in a story everyone already knew the ending to. Wow. Talk about an anticlimax. This ruling didn't exactly catch anyone off guard. It was more like, yep, saw that coming. So, no wild market spikes this time. Unlike last summer when Judge Torres dropped the bombshell that XRP isn't a security. Now some folks might be thinking, ugh, what a letdown. Guess XRP's not going anywhere. But honestly, that's missing the forest for the trees. Here's the bigger picture. Who cares about short-term price swings? This ruling is a major stepping stone for XRP's long-term success. It's these foundational wins that pave the way for everything the XRP community has been talking about for years. The world's still catching up, but make no mistake, big banks and governments are gearing up to embrace cryptocurrency tech. It's happening. They're completely missing the bigger picture. These are the kinds of announcements that shake the ground beneath us, like Judge Torres declaring XRP is not a security. And let's not forget the likely settlement between Ripple and the SEC, potentially wiping out that $125 million fine and giving Ripple the green light to operate with XRP in the US. Here's the twist. No one sees this coming. People are mixing up what's predictable with what's truly game-changing. Sure, the market expected the Ripple SEC case to be dismissed. Everyone saw that coming. But the ripple effects? Those are the real story, and they're about to reshape everything. Ripple is now poised to operate freely in the US, opening doors to institutional deals like never before. Here's the kicker. Most people in crypto don't truly understand cryptocurrency, let alone XRP. They don't grasp what real utility means. But picture this. Ripple starts landing massive public deals with banks, and XRP finally gets used in the ways we've been predicting for ages. That's the moment the game changes. It's the spark that will catch the market's attention. Whether it comes from an official announcement or the market gradually waking up to what's happening, this shift will be monumental. It's the foundation we've been waiting for, the launchpad for bigger, game-changing moves ahead. The real turning point was the case finally being over. Now, with the regulatory chains lifted, Ripple is free to chase groundbreaking milestones that are set to disrupt the market in ways no one saw coming. People will be left saying, I thought this was all hype. I thought it was just a fantasy. I thought XRP enthusiasts were out of their minds. But when it becomes undeniable that this is the real deal, the world will be stunned, wondering how they missed it all. From where we stand, the bigger picture is already crystal clear. We've dug deep, uncovering the connections and seeing how they all fit together. More importantly, we understand why these connections exist, why they're necessary. We grasp the efficiency, the vision, and the scale of what's being built. And soon, so will everyone else. We know how crucial this infrastructure upgrade is for the financial system. The market hasn't caught on yet, but when it does, get ready for the next big wave. Looking at the XRP price chart right now, something unusual is happening. XRP is stuck in a sideways trading pattern. This isn't typical for XRP. It doesn't stay in these holding patterns for long. Sooner or later, it's going to break, up or down. Here's the exciting part. With the momentum building around the new administration, I believe we're gearing up for a major breakout. Now, if we shift to the XRP to Bitcoin price chart, there's another interesting signal. XRP is moving in an ascending channel against Bitcoin, something you rarely see. What does that mean? It's a classic loading phase. Why a loading phase? Because XRP just made a massive parabolic leap on both charts. This loading pattern is incredibly bullish. It's like the market saying, we're not done yet. The next move is up. The chart is screaming, no crash here. Every attempt to pull back is met with stronger support. Sellers try, but buyers keep stepping in. It's clear. Confidence in XRP is building. XRP and Bitcoin aren't known for staying stuck in one place for long. This isn't a standstill. It's the foundation for the next leap forward. XRP is gaining ground against Bitcoin while holding a crucial long-term support level. All signs point to momentum building for an upward move. Of course, anything can happen, but the bigger picture paints an exciting story. With XRP's potential, its role in transformative tech, and the enthusiasm surrounding it, the path forward feels more like a climb than a fall. These are the signals that reassure me. When the broader market finally catches on, it won't just be a simple, oh, the Ripple SEC case is done, so XRP skyrockets 500%. No, the real shift will come when people grasp the sheer scale. Billions, even trillions of dollars, set to flow through these systems. That realization will transform the native decentralized liquidity of these networks in ways most can't yet imagine. When that conversation starts to happen, we're talking about a seismic shift in token prices. Why? Because right now, Barely anyone truly understands cryptocurrency, not even those deeply involved in it. But when the mainstream starts to connect the dots, when they finally comprehend the potential, that's when the real revolution will begin. That's the catalyst. What we've seen over the past few months, the SEC case wrapping up, Ripple striking deals, settlements being reached, those aren't just news headlines. They're the foundation being laid for something far bigger. These are the stepping stones to unlock that massive wave of adoption and growth. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope this update sparked some excitement for what's ahead.